Imagine you're sitting in Russell House eating lunch and your friend approaches you with a plan. He asks you to give him $1 million to help fund his Send Monkeys to Space program. He explains that the $1 million will help purchase monkey space suits, help build the monkey rocket, and also help train the space monkeys. Would you give him the $1 million, or would you refuse his plan, citing that it is a waste of time and utterly ridiculous? I think the majority of us would say that the plan is ridiculous. However, if you ask the federal government, they may not have the same answer. Each year, there are hundreds of examples of gross and useless government overspending. For example, in 2015, the United States Department of Defense was given a $285,000 grant to monitor the California gnatcatcher and how they interacted with the California cowbird. Now, I don't know you guys, but I don't think that's the best way to be spending $300,000 these days. Every day, the United States government takes millions of dollars from us through payroll and other taxes. They should use this money for good, but instead it is being wasted. The United States government must reduce or eliminate spending on non-essential or unhelpful programs and initiatives. To understand how they waste this money, we must first understand how it is collected. Almost all revenue from the United States government is collected through taxation. These taxes are collected from two main groups, individuals and corporations. And while you might think corporations would carry the burden of tax money given to the government, that is not true. According to the Department of the Treasury, about 65% of all taxes collected last year came from individuals, while only 32% came from corporations. The U.S. government taxes individuals in a variety of different ways. One of the biggest sources of revenue is income tax. That is tax paid on money you earned while working. In addition, the United States government also takes money from your paycheck through payroll taxes. Payroll taxes are also known as Federal Insurance Contribution Act taxes and help pay for things like Medicare and Social Security. Other forms of taxes on individuals include estate and inheritance tax, but they make up a very small percentage of total revenue. In 2019, the United States government collected over $3.5 trillion in total tax revenue, with 1.7 of this trillion coming from income taxes and 1.2 trillion coming from payroll taxes. So where is this money being spent? According to the U.S. Office of Management and Budgets, about 40% goes to Social Security, 25% goes towards Medicare, and other big portions include defense spending and Medicaid. From a zoomed out perspective, it may seem that we are spending our money the right way, but when we take a closer look, the problems and wastefulness become apparent. One place where a lot of money is wasted is our national defense budget. In 2019, the United States government spent around $650 billion on our national defense forces. That's almost 15% of all money spent. This $650 billion is more than China, Saudi Arabia, India, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and Germany all spent combined, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. This is a completely unnecessary amount when comparing it to other countries, and considering the United States has not been in a major conflict for years, I do not see the necessity of this. Waste continues with the Social Security program in the United States. The Social Security Agency predicts that over $1.3 trillion in improper payments were dished out between 2004 and 2017. These payments often result from people collecting paychecks after those who were supposed to receive them have died, and other forms of fraud. That $1.3 trillion is like being dumped into a black hole. We have no idea where it went, and those who were supposed to receive it never get it. People have taken complete advantage of the system due to gross government negligence, and they need to correct it to lower government spending. Some examples of gross government spending are much more ridiculous, however, and almost seem like parody. For example, the Department of Agriculture spent over $35,000 to help turn breweries in Michigan and Wyoming into more environmentally friendly places by installing solar panels. The government was literally spending thousands of dollars on beer. Or when the government spent $3.1 billion on vacations for employees placed on administrative leave. Government employees were literally getting paid to mess up and stop having to come into work. So how can we fix this? Action needs to be taken now. The U.S. budget deficit in 2019 was $1 trillion, meaning that we spent $1 trillion more than we collected through tax revenue. This is a problem because the U.S. government is already nearly $23 trillion in debt, and that number is ever growing. This debt is like a bubble, and when it finally pops, the results could be devastating for our economy and country. We must lower spending now by cutting or lowering spending on these broken programs. We need to spend less on things like defense and instead pump it into things like education that helps strengthen individuals and communities. We must stop pretending like our debt doesn't exist and face it head on. So, with the 2020 election fast approaching, I urge all of you to do your own research into this topic and form your own opinions. Find out where you would like to see our tax money be spent and who you can vote for to make sure that this changes in the future. We can make a difference now if we get the right people in office, and the 2020 election is the perfect chance to do so. Thank you.